tell you how excited I am about today's webinar. We have been running Impact, as Rhonda said, 2020 and now 2021 for some time, probably biased in terms of the content of this one, but this is possibly one of my most exciting times. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Gweagal people, one of the Dharawal speaking clans, and acknowledge their custodianship of the most beautiful bushland that I happen to be sitting on and can see outside my window. I wish I could share it with you. And on behalf of the Centre for Social Impact and our SILA partnership, I pay my respects to their ancestors and their descendants who continue to maintain cultural, physical and spiritual connections to country, and acknowledge the immeasurable contributions that our Indigenous people have made to Australia and to our global society. Let me also take the time to acknowledge traditional owners on the lands on which you're all based today, and acknowledge any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are present and attending with us right now. So it's my enormous pleasure to get to launch and introduce the Social Impact Leadership Australia program. I'm going to take you on a very, very swift imagination journey to kick that off. Imagine if we could pull one of the biggest levers for social change, an investment in our people who are our absolutely greatest assets. Imagine if we could create a world-leading leadership program for for-purpose leaders that took the best pieces from around the world and the evidence from the sector in Australia and pieced them all together. Imagine if we could invest in the best and brightest and a great diversity of people and organisations to help enable them to connect and change the world for the better. Would you do it? Well, we're all here because four incredible philanthropic foundations, the Vincent Fairfax Family Foundation, the Myer Foundation, the Sidney Myer Fund and the Paul Ramsay Foundation did just that. They were visionary enough to believe that this was possible, courageous enough to invest in the longer term, daring enough to try something really brand new and incredibly comprehensive, and disruptive enough to challenge the pre-existing culture of permission, and selfless enough to collaborate. As a result, in partnership with the Centre for Social Impact and the AGSM, we have created the Social Impact Leadership Australia program. Together, we aim to advance the capability of leaders, organisations and ecosystems for a better civil society. So I'm thrilled and enormously proud and grateful and hopeful to be able to launch Social Impact Leadership Australia. We think it's a leadership program Australia needs right now, and I can't wait to see where the program takes us. I'd like to do a big thanks to the team who've been working on this idea, the research, the program design, the investment, the program, and the establishment. We, from the directors of the boards that back this to the people that were part of the inception of this original idea, some of whom are still here on this website, some of whom are on leave and doing all sorts of other things. It's been an incredible commitment. This is new to hundreds on the call, but it's certainly the culmination of many years of work to get this far. And I'd like to launch the program officially and in Auslan, because we're all on mute, except for me right now, do a public clap and thanks to all the people that have got behind this program. So on that note, let me really quickly introduce you to two important people, and there's going to be many more I'll introduce you to, but who are going to be really pivotal in the next steps and will be your key contact people for many of you for the next, from now when the program is officially open for applications over the next couple of years. So Francesca Pizzoni, you can see on screen, and Eloise Brady, our project management SILA officer gurus who are all knowing about everything to do with SILA and have done an enormous job to get us this far, and will be playing really important roles in over the next few years in making SILA a really successful program. So thanks Chess and Eloise, and I'm sure lots of people are looking forward to getting to know you too. So the other really important people here, and who we're going to have a really good discussion with now, are three people who are representing the four founders and investors, who I have to say are an incredible group of people to work with and an absolute delight to spend time with. I've spent an enormous amount of time with all of them over the last few years in crafting and creating this program. Let me introduce them quickly to you all. I'm sure many of them are quite familiar to you. Jenny Wheatley, I'm going to start with you. Welcome, Jenny. Jenny has been the CEO of the Vincent Fairfax Family Foundation since 2012. She spent a couple of decades as a chartered accountant and is a numbers guru. She's a member of CSI Sydney's Advisory Council. We're delighted for her fabulous and valuable input. She's a director of the Cranlana Centre for Ethical Leadership, and she sits on the board of a number of private family companies that are associated with the Fairfax Family Office. She's also a lot of fun to have dinner with. Leonard Very, hello Leonard, welcome. Leonard's been the CEO of the Myer Foundation and Sidney Myer Fund since 2011. We all know being CEO of one organisation is tough enough. Imagine having Leonard's job and you have two. Well done, Leonard. He's also a board member of Creative Partnerships Australia and the Cranlana Centre for Ethical Leadership. He happens to be a fellow of the AICD, and he's got a number of previous board roles in the area of the arts. Finally, a very warm welcome to Joe Taylor. Joe has been the Chief Capability Officer at the Paul Ramsay Foundation since July 2019. Prior to that, many of you will know she was the General Manager of Strategy at the Paul Ramsay Foundation. She did that for over 3 years. She's an ex-CEO in the not-for-profit space, has a wealth of experience in working with not-for-profits, and has a really great understanding of the complexity of social problems and ecosystems. And it's a great pleasure for me to welcome the three of you and work with you all. Let's have a quick discussion about the why behind the Foundation's commitment to the Social Impact Leadership Australia program. I'm going to kick off to ask Jenny to answer the why first, but I'm going to ask each of you, why did you invest in designing, developing and delivering this groundbreaking, we hope, leadership and capacity building program?
Well, Christy, clearly it was an opportunity for you and I to have dinner with Joe and Leonard. But more seriously, Vincent Fairfax Family Foundation sees this as an opportunity to provide a culture of permission to our very important for-purpose leaders, where we often see that they are unable to prioritise their own leadership development. We know that outcomes are driven by good leaders. So you get the best outcomes when you have rejuvenated and leaders who've had time to reflect on their business. So that was why the board took this opportunity, also to collaborate with a fabulous bunch of people.
Thanks, Jenny. Leonard, what was Myer's, the two Myer groups, why?
Let me, whilst I'm not avoiding your question, Christy, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank, to do two things. To start by saying how terrifically excited we are about this launch date. Your enthusiasm is shared by all of us, but to thank you, Christy, our delivery partner, and all of your incredibly talented team for the remarkable work that you've done, which is always underpinned by rigour, research and diligence. But for you, we would not be sitting around this enormous virtual table. And to thank our funding partners, Vincent Fairfax Family Foundation and the Paul Ramsay Foundation, who have been beautiful partners, partners who are able to debate, have difference, find a way forward towards what we think is a world-leading program. So that's the background. So hello, thank you. Why did we invest? Look, we conducted a lot of research in relation to this matter. This program is about 3 years in the making, and I exaggerate not at all. We undertook a literature review. Craig Connolly of Potter and I took an overseas study tour. We engaged with the domestic sector, and the conclusions were consistent and irrefutable. There is a significant underinvestment in capacity building and in particular in leadership in the for-purpose sector. And we thought that the philanthropic sector's role, given it is to support the for-purpose sector, ought to play an outsized role in that space. So that's its genesis. We were also very keen to model the behaviour that we ask of the for-purpose sector. We constantly say, please collaborate, collaborate. How hard is it to collaborate? And yet often we go our own way. And so this is an important and abiding collaboration for us. I'll stop there because I could keep going, as you know, Christy.
Thanks, Leonard. I'll come back to you and drill in a little bit more in a minute. But Jo, why is Paul Ramsay Foundation investing in this?
So it was a really easy decision to really think about whether we would invest, because it aligns with our vision and mission. So we've got this really ambitious goal of breaking cycles of disadvantage, but the mission is building the capability of people and organizations and the communities that we work with to do it. And if we're going to crack that, then we actually need to really, as you said at the beginning, focus on growing the capability of our top leaders in the sector. It aligns with our values of being bold and courageous that already people have talked about, but also learning and curiosity. And so when the Vincent Family Fairfax Foundation and the Myer Foundations and the Potter Foundation came to us and said, we've done the research, we've looked at the evidence, we've done a piece about how we translate that to an Australian context, we've talked to CEOs. For us, it was ticked all the boxes. And to be honest, we were very grateful to be able to jump on the bandwagon after all of that work had been done, because without that, we wouldn't have the kind of high quality that we're all kind of expecting. And then finally, we've got 4 distinctive kind of factors that we look at when we're funding things. Will it have a significant impact? Can we as a foundation play a distinctive role? And both Jenny and Leonard have already said this is a massive gap in our sector. Can we measure it? And we're really excited about the evaluation that's attached and how we can really think about what is the impact on the individuals, the organizations and the systems that we work in. And the final one, which we've all talked about, is collaboration. So for us, the opportunity to collaborate with our philanthropic peers, but then encouraging that collaboration through the cohorts over the 5 years that will have a little bit of an effect on the competition kind of system that we've had for 30 years. We just thought it was a really amazing opportunity that we couldn't miss.
Thank you. And I know you have teams above and below you that have done a lot of work to contribute to this. So many thanks. Leonard, I want to pick up on something that you sort of referred to. We know there's a heap of other leadership programs around in Australia that do all sorts of different things and have different goals. What do you see as SILA's point of difference compared to those programs?
I think there are a number of them, but I'll confine myself, Christy, to perhaps the one that is most striking from my perspective. It's a focus that the program has not just on leadership skills and network development, but on the whole person that is the CEO. The program's rigorous, but it provides time and space for personal reflection and replenishment. You will come to some of the detail of the program shortly in this webinar, but of course, a tailored 3-month sabbatical sits as one of its centerpieces, and there is something very appropriate about that, given the stress and strain that many of our for-purpose colleagues experience on a sustained basis. So I'll stop there, and I'm happy for you to come back to me if you like.
Thanks, Leonard. And Leonard, you picked up some of the challenges that the not-for-profit sector are actually facing. Jenny, can you expand on that a little bit for us? And thinking about SILA, how do you think it's going to help to address some of those challenges that the sector is actually experiencing?
So the work you've done with your team, Christy, means that the content has been specifically designed for this sector. It's not an add-on or an afterthought or something that happens after lunch on the last day of the conference. It's the whole program. So that is super important. As someone who takes energy from having people around her, SILA is going to provide an opportunity for CEOs to build this network that will be, we hope, really important for them for years to come. And I'm really excited about the diversity of the cohort. So we have built in opportunities for people from rural and regional areas to join the cohort. We've got people who perhaps have challenges in actually finding the time to put aside for SILA. So there's capacity funding within the budget to address those parts of building that really important network. So I think, you know, the important thing when you build a team is diversity, 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 and that's diversity of background is as important as the other diversities we talk about. So we've got that well and truly nailed, I think. Look, we've talked a bit about the CEO rejuvenation and reflection. How much better do we all feel when we have some time to actually sit outside our businesses and look in and do some planning? We all feel better when we do that. It makes us more effective leaders. VFFF knows that funding capacity strengthens organisation and ultimately grows impact for beneficiaries. And we understand better than most, I think, that it can be really hard for leaders in for-purpose organisations to prioritise that investing in themselves, because they often put themselves last in any sort of priority funding for training. So the fact that this is fully funded for the sector organisation sends that message that Leonard and Joe have spoken about.
Thanks, Jenny. It's pretty exciting. We will get to the details of exactly all of those barriers that we've tried to overcome with this program shortly. But before I do that, Joe, you mentioned sort of like the importance of this program focusing on outcomes for individual leaders, their organisations and the sector as a whole. Can you expand on that? What are your hopes for the future? If we look into 5 years from now, what impact do you hope SILA will have?
Well, I was super lucky, Christy, that when I got my first CEO gig, I got access to a program like this. It wasn't quite as good as this because I really would have liked a 3-month sabbatical to be able to do the recharge and rethinking bit. But that just set me up for amazing success from then to now, kind of almost 20 years. Kind of afterwards. And that's from an individual perspective. I really hope that the individuals that come on this program get as much out of this than I did out of that, which was both hard and soft skills that enabled me to do my job better and also allowed me to acknowledge what I'm really good at. So sometimes it's just also having that spotlight is I'm really good at this, but these are things that I need to work on. And the other thing is the cohort. So I work with that cohort all the time and the other cohorts in that program as well. So the fact that we're actually going to build cohorts of people in place that they can access and then across the country, I just think that impact is going to be really amazing. And the opportunity to reflect and have that kind of space, which we know, because it is really lonely as a NFP CEO. The complexity's got harder, the resources have got less, and the need has got greater. So from an individual aspect, I hope we'll have the space to be able to think about those things and respond to them effectively. And then from an organization, it's actually building the pipeline. So not only are we focusing on this program of those leaders, but also the step up leaders and creating opportunities to step into positions of authority as you kind of build those skills. So that's the other bit I'm super excited about, because it's not just about the individual, it's about the organization and how do we flow these skills throughout the organization and build resilience within leadership teams. And then finally, that ecosystem piece. Like you say, I think changing the mindset that everybody's talked about around the value of professional development and the connection to amplifying impact is going to be hugely important over the 5 years, but also those mindsets about competition, collaboration. We spent a long time in this sector, people have heard me say it before, like saying that a single organization has got the answer is the silver bullet. We're now coming out of that. We're asking people to collaborate. We're asking them to think about what's their piece in the ecosystem. The more we provide opportunities for leaders to actually do this kind of strategic thinking together and bounce off each other, the more we're going to be able to change that mindset and maybe even some more levers in the sector to enable that to happen.
Thanks, Joe. And Joe, before you mute yourself, if you had to say 1 or 2 words super fast to CEOs thinking about applying for this program, what would you say?
Do it, do it, do it. Do it. You won't regret it.
Jenny?
Yeah, seize the moment. Take the time out to really to think through the application, put your application in. You never know what might happen just by taking that opportunity. So do it.
Thanks, Jenny. Leonard, final couple of words.
Yes, I've got your emphasis on a couple. I see you're 2 minutes over time. It's making you anxious, Christy. I understand. I won't take more than 24 seconds, I promise. Look, this is a remarkable program. You will hear some detail of it now, but you've heard my colleagues speak about one of the intentions of the program being to change the culture of permission. It is appropriate that a CEO be equipped and trained. The better the CEO, the higher performing the organisation, the greater contribution to the sector. So take the time. It'll be a competitive process, but the program is remarkable. Apply.
Thank you, Leonard, and thanks, Jenny, Leonard, and Joe. I look forward to really working with you to make this program shine over the next 5 years. So thanks for your input, and we'll invite these guys back for Q&A at the end. But I know you're all desperate to hear, like, okay, you've got all these sneak peeks from the foundation CEOs and reps. You now actually are really keen to hear what is SILA and what is it that we might be able to get out of this particular program. I'm not going to go too much into the whys of this. Like Leonard referred to, this program is based on a whole lot of in-depth research that had been done prior to us coming in. We then came in 2019, thanks to the support of the Ian Potter Foundation and the other foundations that are here, and undertook a significant research program in what would this look like if we were to try and create a global best practice leadership program. And really, next slide, Chess. The program is based on this in-depth research, and what we found in summary, and you can read the full research online, is there is historic underinvestment, but enormously high need in the sector around these issues. There are high burnout rates, isolation of CEOs, need for more of that peer-to-peer, and a lack of permission to invest in this. The SILA curriculum is based on the best practice leadership programs from bits and pieces from around the world that we know are amazing, and tailored to the evidence around what the sector said they needed in Australia after talking to CEOs and board directors. And it's a really visionary commitment. And I love the piece that some of the founders have already spoken about in terms of the important messaging around them collaborating to achieve this. So what is SILA? SILA is a national program for for-purpose CEOs and their organisations. It's a 5-year investment by these 4 philanthropic organisations that you've already heard from that aims to advance the capability of leaders, organisations and ecosystems for a better civil society. And I know that's slightly repetitive, but those 3 pieces of the puzzle are really important. The program is a 10-month program. It is up for up to 24 CEOs, and it will run from July 2021 to May 2022 for the first cohort. We will run a cohort once a year for at least the next 5 years, and the program will be independently evaluated along the way. Ideally, we will improve, but hopefully that will mean future investment in these kinds of and similar leadership development programs going forward. The program has a bunch of different components. Before I get to those components, I want to just talk you through what some of the outcomes are of this program. Next slide. So as I said, there are 3 key components here about developing leadership of the self, the organisation and the ecosystem. In terms of leadership of the self, we want to see a diversity of exceptional CEOs and who can increase their understanding and application of a whole bunch of cutting edge leadership tools and social impact theories, improve their well-being and in turn enhance their effectiveness. We want to see organisations able to attract, retain and develop emerging leaders within the sector. We want to give organisations and boards greater confidence around succession planning, and we want to build leadership cultures and the wider capability of organisations, and in turn support those organisations' capacity to deliver against their purpose to achieve better outcomes for the beneficiaries that they serve. So while the program's for 24 leaders, it actually has a massive ripple effect in terms of the number of people that it will support, and I'll get to that in a second. As far as the ecosystem goes, we really want to create a strategic network of system thinking leaders who can support and guide each other through conflict and crisis and opportunity. And Joe did a great job at referring to some of those big picture goals around, you know, single organizations cannot solve complex problems themselves. We know that, and we need to have mechanisms and ways for them to be able to work effectively together. And finally, there is a really important piece around lifting philanthropic culture, and I guess funding culture more broadly, around the practice of demonstrating collective leadership and encouraging investment in for-purpose capacity building of individuals and organisations. So the bit that you've been waiting for, who is this program for? I want you to think through these questions. So are you a CEO of a for-purpose organisation? Are you looking to advance your leadership skills? Are you looking to build the capability of your organisation? Are you looking to contribute positive social impact across the ecosystem for a better civil society in whatever way you might work for purpose? If the answer to these things is yes, 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 you should consider applying for this program. We're looking for leaders who are willing to do a whole lot of critical reflection. We're looking for leaders who are open to being challenged and really keen to explore new or alternative ways to lead for social change. And I'm going to introduce Robbie McPherson before I finish, who's going to do be leading a lot of this, who's going to talk a little bit more about the kind of mindset that we're looking for. But I will get to that in a second. In terms of eligibility criteria, the eligibility is we have a number of things. You need to be a CEO of a for-purpose organisation. We're looking for demonstrable senior management experience in the for-purpose sector, and we need CEOs to have been in their current role for a minimum of 1 year. We're looking at organisations that have an annual revenue greater than $1 million, because this is an enormous investment and we need organisations to be sizable enough to take on this work with a team. We are looking for Australian citizens or permanent residents, and for this year only, and we will move this program around states and territories. For 2021, we're looking for residents of New South Wales or the ACT. We are coming to other states, we promise. The reason that we're looking for residents of New South Wales or ACT, irrespective of where your program delivers, is because the importance that the research showed us about having peer-to-peer networks and peer-to-peer networks that were geographically based. Finally, you need to be available, you need to be committed, and you need to have the support of your board chair to be able to do this and commit to the dates of the retreats as well as the 3-month sabbatical. And because this isn't just about the CEO leaders, this is about building the leadership of your team, you also need to have a second in charge or a step-up leader who could actually fill that role going forward. Of course, we also have some assessment criteria that we're also looking for beyond those eligibility lists that you need to be able to tick off. We're really looking for CEOs who are open to learning and networking and being challenged. We definitely, as Jenny alluded to and previously, we want diversity of thought in leadership and work and people. We want to value people who value continuous learning. We want people who want to not just learn for themselves, but actually craft and create a team of leaders around them. We value people that also value peer-to-peer engagement and networking. I already spoke about being willing to be challenged, and who want to build capability, not just of themselves and their organizations, but what would it mean to actually work not for your organizations by themselves, but for the purpose for which you exist. As Jenny said, in terms of this program, we have put in a whole bunch of things to make sure we can support diversity. We are looking to recruit a diverse cohort of CEOs from urban, regional and rural areas. We want to span different for-purpose sectors and communities, and we have a whole bunch of funding opportunities to decrease some of those barriers we heard about in the research for people to participate. So if you happen to live in a rural or regional area, SILA will cover the cost for you to attend those retreats and to get there. If you're living with a disability, we will do all we can to ensure SILA is accessible. If you need additional support, for example, caring support, we have a bucket of funding to help break down some of those barriers to enable participation. So what is SILA? It's made up of 5 key components. Pre-assessments, so there'll be individual diagnosis, but also organisational diagnosis. There is executive coaching that is attached to the CEO, but also executive coaching for the Step Up leader, and those will be separate coaching supports. There will be 3 leadership retreats that are immersive experiences, and wrapped around those leadership retreats will be other types of curriculum and learning. The program, and this is, I think, one of the best gifts to the sector, includes a funded sabbatical of 3 months. So the expectation is, we know that the research shows that 3 months is a critical time period for that rejuvenation reflection, and the return of that means that CEOs come back brighter, better, able to think big picture, next steps. And finally, to enable all these things to happen, there is a built-in organisation capacity building fund. This is untied, it's unrestricted funding. I know organisations love that, it's super important. And it's all about making sure that there's some money there that can be wraparound support where your organisation most needs it to build its capability and capacity to deliver your missions. The program is a collaborative approach. The Centre for Social Impact, as you know, sits across multiple universities. We will work with a whole bunch of our academics and industry partners in the teaching. We are partnering with the Australian Graduate School of Management, the AGSM, and they will do a whole lot of work with us around that diagnostic piece and look for opportunities to provide organisations with things that they might do with some of that capability funding, or even just identify areas that they might look at internally with other supports. I know you're all keen on when does this program open. Today, you can click on the website. Nicola has shared the link in the chat. You can apply from today. So applications open today. They close on the 7th of May. There is online a whole bunch of FAQs that you can look to. The program we will make, obviously there's a timeline around interviews, etc., and we go through a process with a selection committee. Offers will be made on the 21st of June, and the program commences on the 1st of July in terms of that learning piece. We have dates for Retreat 1, Retreat 2. The sabbatical, we understand CEOs, depending on the work you do, need some flex around what that looks like. But importantly, in terms of that working with the curriculum, the sabbatical needs to be taken between Retreats 2 and 3. I'm not going to go over this, but SILA does have a theory of change. Just so you know, we don't go into these things lightly. I know that we talk about organisations having theories of change. So I just want you to be reassured that we've done this, and you can also find this on our website. Next slide. In terms of the curriculum, again, I'm not going to go through this in detail because we can answer a whole bunch of questions, but we have informed this, like I said, through evidence, what's actually needed, and looking around the world at best practice. So we have crafted a curriculum that joins up that diagnostic piece, the development of outcomes for the self, the organisation and the system. We wrap the retreats with coaching, as I mentioned. The sabbatical sits between Retreats 2 and Retreats 3, and we have a whole lot of modules within each of those retreats, some of which will be in depth within the retreats. Other parts will be via webinars or other learning methods throughout the course. And we absolutely are aspiring to networks of individuals being able to be informed along the way. In terms of the sabbatical, and I'm just going to pull this out because I think it's one that will be of really significant interest to people. It is all about taking the time to do some really big picture strategic thinking. It is about reflection and rejuvenation, and it is about learning, but it's going to be a tailored sabbatical based on need. Evidence, when we look at it, and you can read more about this in our report, supports a 3-month tailored sabbatical around these areas, and participants will outline a sabbatical plan prior to them taking it. You don't have to do a study tour. You can pick all sorts of things that you might do with your sabbatical period, but we will help you think about where that need might fit as part of that assessment process. So on that note, I think that, you know, probably in terms of that reflecting and rejuvenating, I want to introduce you to Robbie McPherson, and I'm going to wrap this section with Robbie giving us a brief overview of the kinds of mindsets we're looking for people to apply for this program. Robbie is going to be our program director. He's the managing director of Adaptable Leadership. He has worked with hundreds of CEOs across all sectors. I am just one of them. Robbie has an amazing background with 20 years of experience designing and delivering really innovative, really transformational leadership and talent development programs for a whole diverse group of people across sectors, but he's done a lot of work with for-purpose leaders. And I may be biased because I've had the privilege of working with Robbie for around a decade, but I have to say he's one of the best leadership coaches and facilitators and teachers this country has to offer. So welcome, Robbie. And Robbie, what kind of mindset are you looking for this cohort?
Thanks very much, Christy. That's very, very kind words there, which I greatly appreciate. Listening to you go through the program, my excitement again, just once again built about how special this is, how special this moment is. As you said, I've worked in the leadership development space for about 20 years, but I also worked within the sector for 17 years as well, and know how important a program like this is. It's been a bit of a dream of mine to have something like this for the sector for a long time, and to see this realized is just extraordinarily exciting. I've been working for 20 years across all the different sectors, and working with in the corporate world and Commonwealth government, and I've got to say that the thought and the level, the scope and the sophistication of this program is absolutely the match, if not superior, to anything I've come across in any other space, and as it should be, and that's really incredibly exciting. What I do want to just say is that for those who are thinking about applying, and hopefully you all are, I think it's really important, as you see, this is a very significant undertaking. This is not a small program. It's 10 months. It will be demanding. It requires a lot of commitment and a lot of energy. We absolutely believe that you will get that back in spades, but it's also important to enter into this realistically. And from a participant perspective, I would just want to really encourage people to enter this with a really open mind to what it will present. This is not a traditional kind of academic program, even though we will be accessing some of the best academic minds in the country. Very much an experiential program. And it will have a strong component of your development as a person and as a leader. And therefore, we really want people to come in with an open mind, an open heart, to be willing to be a learner and have a growth mindset, to be open and curious, and to be open and willing to have your current thinking and practice stretched and challenged. There will be times this will be challenging and provocative. And so, if you're not up for that, this may not be the right thing for you. But if you're willing to open yourself up to that kind of experience, and be part of this experience, then I can assure you, it will have a lasting impact on you personally, your organization, your future career, the sector as a whole, and ultimately, and most importantly, the people in the communities which you all serve, which is why we're ultimately here to make a social impact, increase some sort of public value. So incredibly excited. I'll stop there because I think it's really important that we have some time to open up for some questions.
Thanks, Robbie, and I'm really excited that you've partnered with this program. And I have to say, I did say at the start that I was excited, and I did do a piece around imagine if, and even if I had posed that to myself, 4 years ago, I wouldn't have believed that something like this might actually eventuate. So this is really exciting. My only disappointment is that we're running the program and I can't put my hand up for it. But I really do encourage you all to apply. I'm sure there are a heap of questions. So we'll go to Q&A now, and my team are going to help me look at those. There are many chats. I haven't been following the chat as we go, but I have got some questions here from Nicola, and I'm going to invite back Jenny and Joe and Leonard. Welcome back. And also Francesca and Eloise are also here for specific questions. So the first question is from, well, there's probably more than one question here, but the first question I've got in my list is from Jack Heath from Philanthropy Australia. Congratulations, Jack, on the role. We're sure you'll be fabulous. You've got big shoes to fill from Sarah, but we know you'll be brilliant. Jack asks, I know I'm only 3 weeks into my new CEO role at Philanthropy Australia, but how long do you think I should wait before I put my hand up for a 3-month sabbatical? I'm sure the board would love that question, Jack. The answer to that is to be eligible, you need to be in your role for 12 months. And obviously, that's one of the considerations for this, but also that permission piece around, you need the chair to actually agree to you completing the program, including the sabbatical. And that's a requirement to be eligible. I'm going to keep going, and then I'm going to flick some of the questions to some of the team as we go through. Jessica Brown from Marathon Health asks, is this only for CEOs and not other C-suites? Jessica, unfortunately, yes, it is. Saying that, if your CEO is part of this program, it absolutely is for C-suites, because part of the point of this is that wraparound piece that will be invested in the organisation. We know this program is not solving all of the world's problems. One of our goals is to open up that permission to actually be able to get more investment in leadership development from across the sector. And so we hope to come up with other alternatives for C-suites to be able to get snapshots of this program or other. Okay, and then I'm going to flick this one to Francesca around the funding for the capacity building. So Emma Morgan wants clarification. Is the $30,000 capacity building fund separate to funding the 3-month sabbatical for the CEO?
Thanks, Emma, for your question. So we anticipate, well, the CEO will continue to have their salary funded by the organisation. The $30,000 capacity fund, it can be used for a number of things. So it can be an additional responsibility payment that will go to the step-up leader for them to take on that CEO role. It could also, we have the AGSM doing an organisational diagnostic workshop with each of the organisations, and they may highlight or identify some programs or courses that people could participate in or the organisation may need. So that funding can be used for that. So it's untied funding, but we would love to know what you're going to spend it on. But yeah, it can be used for a range of things, and we're happy to talk more about that with you during the application process.
Thanks, Chess. And there are a number of questions that are coming up about eligibility. So I'm not going to answer all of them because we're going to run out of time and just pick up some other ones. But you can get more details on our website, and please feel free to reach out to Chess and Eloise in regard to some more of that detail if you need it. Leonard, I'm going to ask you, one of the questions that's come in is asking about rollout. Marcus wants to know about rollout to other states. Given you're based in Victoria, where are we going next?
Well, Marcus, is a problem to start with, so I don't know how competitive someone like him. But hello, Marcus. So the answer is that each of the funding partners, along with CSI, has committed to this program for not less than 5 years. Our plans are, as has been said, I think, to conduct the first iteration with CEOs based in New South Wales and the ACT. The second iteration, which will be for 2022, for Victoria and Tasmania, and the third, fourth and fifth iterations yet to settle on the relevant geographies, but it is our firm intention that this program be rolled out nationally within that 5-year envelope.
Thanks, Leonard. One of the questions that's come in from Susie Riddell. Hi, Susie. Nice to, I can't see you right now, but nice that you're here. Is around, are we willing to adapt and amend the program over time based on the feedback? The answer is absolutely. And I think, I can't remember Joe, Jenny or Leonard, one of them referred to the evaluation. It is going to be independently evaluated. That's really important to all of us. And I think from the very beginning when Leonard and Craig went off to their study tour, they were so open to, actually, we might find the perfect solution overseas that we can just replicate, or we may need to tailor something. And all of the funders have evolved on every step of the way in terms of what we've learned. And we know we're not going to get this right. You know, this is the first time we've done it. It's such a comprehensive program. We're not even going to have all the right FAQs on our website. There's going to be a whole lot of stuff that we need to adapt and evolve along the way. So help us learn and make this better. You know, and none of us are here to develop and deliver a leadership program that doesn't aspire to the big outcomes that we've aimed to achieve. So we absolutely are open to change. Other questions? Let me just look at my list.
I'd actually just add to that while you look at your list, Christy, that I would really expect that the program will be improved over time. It has been developed very rigorously, but we will learn, and I hope we would learn from iteration to iteration, and there is a discrete budget line for the purposes of ongoing evaluation on an annual basis.
Thanks, Leonard. And I did just see something pop up in the chat on the side around diversity in age group. Jenny, do you want to pick up the diversity piece? I know you started to refer to it at the beginning, but do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I know VFFF has been really great at this from the start.
So the importance in the building of the cohort is, so with respect, Chris, is almost as important as the content, because these are the people that you're going to spend 12 months with. So for leaders to get the most out of this, I think it's really important that we have a very wide range of people in the cohort. And to do that, we need to, we thought carefully about how to encourage that. So we certainly, I've mentioned the rural and regional input. You know, people think differently depending on where they live. They bring a different perspective to a leadership program. So we're very keen to see the rural and regional group, and we're also keen to see people who've had different life experiences based on their, whether they've got a disability or they have a big family or a changed things to do.
Jenny, can I add to that, just to reinforce, you know, the sort of methodology and the pedagogy of the program. You know, we're very mindful that the participants will learn as much from each other as they will from the people at the front of the room, like me and whoever is presenting or running sessions. You know, to bring a diverse group together to engage and to share and to learn their experiences is so rich and so powerful, and therefore the more diversity we have in the room, the more we can actually engage and learn from the richness of different people's experiences. So it's a critical element of the program.
Thanks. Joe, did you have anything else you wanted to add from Paul Ramsay's Foundation around any of the discussion or components of the program?
No, I think you've all nailed it. So yeah, I think that's great.
Chess, from a project management perspective, anything else that you think that the attendees need to hear?
I'd just like to say, you know, we're here to kind of support everyone who is interested in applying. So please contact us with questions. We're happy to talk you through all different aspects of the program. We'll be there to support you during the retreats. We want this to make this the most incredible leadership program that you could possibly attend. So please reach out to us. We're happy to help, and we'll be there, you know, with you the whole way. So that's all.
Thanks, Jess. In the interest of timeliness, to make sure that, you know, we value your time as much as possible, we will make sure we finish this on time by 11:30. So I'm going to ask everyone to do a final wrap. What's your final wrap and message? And everyone, as in Robbie, Jenny, Joe, and Chess just did one, and Leonard. Before we go, what's your final message, either about this program or your hope for the future? Maybe we'll do hope for the future. In 5 years' time, what are we aiming to see? Anyone want to volunteer to kick off? Joe?
I'll go. So in 5 years' time, we'll have these amazing cohorts of people, and across the country. We'll also understand whether it is, one of our hypotheses is it's really important to have a geographical cohort in 1 year, or whether that doesn't really matter. But we will have more foundations that are looking to fund this kind of work. So this is the kind of CEO level. Wouldn't it be great in 5 years' time if we had similar things that had robust funding that looked at all levels of the NFP kind of sector? And with our evaluation, we'd have this really amazing set of data that did correlate both professional development to impact. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I might jump in next. It strikes me the timing of this program is quite remarkable. You know, we are in a very important and very significant moment. COVID and all of what that entails, and I think the next 4 or 5 years are going to be incredibly important for us as a nation. And I think having something which is going to encourage innovation, collaboration, is going to be incredibly significant. And I think I'd encourage people to, we need to step in and be a bit bold at the moment and a bit adventurous. And this is a bold and adventurous program. And I would say, you know, don't be too cautious. Take a punt, back yourself, and step into this. And I think together we can do something really remarkable.
I would just, Jenny, please, you go.
Over to you, Leonard.
Thank you. Thank you. See, that is an illustration of how it works between the partners. You know. Look, I would say that there has been a ton of work done in relation to the development of this program, and we've also invested a great deal of money, millions and millions and millions of dollars we have committed to this program. We take it very seriously, and the more work that we've done in relation to it, the more resources we've deployed, the more certain we've become that investment in the building of capacity in general and in leadership in particular of the for-purpose sector is needed now. My hope is that within 5 years we'll have more foundations recognising the appropriateness, indeed the criticality of funding capacity building within the for-purpose sector, and significantly, and Jenny and others have spoken about this, the culture of permission, that those who work within the for-purpose sector recognise that if money comes to their organisation, if opportunities arise, those resources don't need to be directed beyond them. We must improve the capacity within the organisations of which we have such high expectations.
So I will add to that Wendy Scaife, lovely to see you, and you've challenged us to say, let's go global. So I really hope in 5 years there's a group of, our borders are open and there's a group of people that can come and observe this program from America and Canada and other parts of the world and say, wow, this is something really special and we can take it back to our sectors. I'd like to see this pool of leaders that we have that are exceptional people with huge passion in the not-for-profit sector grow. I'd like to see it expand, and I'd like my corporate peers to look at that pool and go, wow, we can really learn something from them because they've done this great leadership course and really have something to offer across the sectors, to government, to corporates, and to their peers.
Thanks, everyone. Look, I've got dogs barking in the background, but they've just stopped now. I'm unmuted. That was good timing, wasn't it? I think, I guess I don't have a lot to add to the wrap that's already been done. For-purpose CEOs are one of our biggest assets. You know, if we think about the levers for change, we all have all sorts of work that we do. And actually, if we can invest in our people, what a remarkable way to create change. You know, it's our leaders who are doing all of the work around supporting organisations to do the things that, you know, care for our kids and our animals and improve our environment and support us when we most need it. And yet we haven't invested in this as a sector like has been invested in other sectors in the corporate or even the public sector. So, you know, this program is Social Impact Leadership Australia. It's a $9 million program over 5 years. That money goes straight back into supporting the CEOs, their organisations, and how we build a stronger ecosystem. And I think, you know, and some people have put it in the chat and my puppies agree, this could be a game changer. So let's make it fly. And I really can't wait to see the applications. Thank you for dialing in. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you to the partners who have been an absolute joy to work with. Thank you to my team and the team at CSI and our network of industry partners who support us in this work and will do to deliver this program over the next 5 years. Can't wait to work with you either in this program or in some other way around capability building. Thanks for your time and have a great day.